Well, what if the greatest limitation in your life is not your education, your background, or your circumstances, but the way you think? Most people spend years trying to change results without ever questioning the mindset that produced them. They work harder, stay busier, and hope longer, yet nothing truly changes. Why? Because weak thinking can never produce strong results. You cannot build a powerful life on a weak philosophy. Every income level, every habit, every decision you make today is rooted in a thought you accepted yesterday. If your thinking is small, cautious, and filled with excuses, your life will quietly follow the same pattern. But here's the good news: the moment your thinking changes, everything begins to shift. Strong results don't start with luck. They start with clarity, responsibility, discipline, and better questions. Today is not about motivation, it's about awareness. Because once you see how deeply your thinking controls your outcomes, you can no longer stay the same. But most people search for success in the wrong place. They look for better opportunities, easier circumstances, or a change in luck. Yet they overlook the most powerful force shaping their lives: the way they think. Every result you experience, financial, emotional, or personal, can be traced back to your thinking. Life does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you believe, expect, and consistently act upon. When thinking is weak, results cannot be strong, no matter how much effort is applied on the surface. A weak thinking often hides behind good intentions. People say they want success, growth, and freedom, but their thoughts are filled with doubt, fear, and limitation. They hesitate, overanalyze, and wait for perfect conditions that never arrive. This kind of thinking quietly undermines progress. It sends a message to life that you are uncertain, unprepared, and unwilling to fully commit. As a result, life returns outcomes that match that hesitation. You don't get what you hope for, you get what your thinking prepares you for. A strong results require strong expectations. The way you see yourself determines how you act, and how you act determines what you receive. If you think you are capable of little, you will attempt little. If you expect failure, you will unconsciously behave in ways that produce it. Thinking is not passive, it is a command center. It directs decisions, influences habits, and shapes daily behavior. Over time, those small decisions accumulate into the results you call your life. Many people work hard but think poorly. They stay busy, but they do not stay intentional. Without strong thinking, effort becomes scattered. You can be active all day and still move nowhere if your thoughts lack clarity and purpose. Strong thinking gives direction to effort. It asks, is this activity moving me toward the person I want to become? Weak thinking, on the other hand, keeps people occupied but unproductive, exhausted but unchanged. Well, your thinking also determines how you respond to difficulty. Life will challenge everyone, but not everyone responds the same way. Weak thinking sees problems as signals to quit, slow down, or complain. Strong thinking sees problems as classrooms, places where skills are sharpened and character is formed. The difference is not the size of the problem, it is the strength of the mindset facing it. Those who think weakly are defeated by obstacles. Those who think strongly are refined by them. If you want different results, you must first upgrade the way you think. This does not happen automatically. A mind left undisciplined will drift toward fear, comfort, and excuses. Strong thinking is developed deliberately through reading, reflection, and exposure to better ideas. When you feed your mind with principles of growth and responsibility, your thoughts begin to change, and when your thoughts change, your actions follow. Every improved result begins as an improved thought. Strong thinking leads to better choices, better habits, and better standards. Over time, life has no option but to respond differently. When you think with clarity, belief, and intention, your results rise to meet that strength. A weak thinking often reveals itself through the refusal to accept responsibility. Instead of asking what can be done, the weak thinker asks who is to blame. Circumstances, other people, the economy, the past, or bad luck become convenient explanations for a life that is not improving. This mindset may feel comforting in the moment, but it quietly steals power. The moment responsibility is avoided, control is lost. When you believe your life is controlled by external forces, you surrender the ability to change it. A life responds differently to those who take ownership. Responsibility is not about self-blame, it is about self-command. Strong thinkers understand that while they may not control everything that happens to them, they do control how they respond, how they prepare, and how they grow. Weak thinking waits for life to improve before acting. Strong thinking acts first, knowing that action is what causes improvement. The refusal to accept responsibility keeps people stuck in the same patterns year after year, wondering why nothing changes. Lay excuses are the language of weak thinking. They sound reasonable, logical, and even intelligent, but they produce no progress. Saying, "I don't have time," "I wasn't given the opportunity," or "others have it easier," shifts attention away from growth. Strong thinkers do the opposite. They ask difficult questions of themselves. They examine their habits, skills, and decisions. They look inward first, not outward. This internal focus creates strength, because it puts change within reach. At the moment responsibility is accepted, life begins to move. A person who says, "This is my fault, and therefore it is my solution," gains power immediately. That statement transforms frustration into focus. It turns setbacks into lessons and failures into feedback. Weak thinking avoids this discomfort and remains trapped in complaint. Strong thinking embraces it and grows. Irresponsibility also shapes behavior. When you believe your results depend on others, you wait. When you believe your results depend on you, you act. Action, even imperfect action, builds confidence. Waiting builds doubt. Weak thinkers delay decisions, hoping for certainty. Strong thinkers decide, adjust, and move forward. Progress favors those who take ownership early and consistently. The blame is expensive. It costs time, energy, and emotional strength. Every hour spent blaming is an hour not spent building skills or improving character. Strong thinkers understand that life does not reward fairness. It rewards preparation and responsibility. Whether circumstances are fair or unfair becomes irrelevant once responsibility is accepted. Growth begins where excuses end. Ultimately, the quality of your life reflects the level of responsibility you are willing to carry. Weak thinking shrinks under pressure and looks for someone else to carry the weight. Strong thinking stands up, accepts the burden, and becomes stronger in the process. When responsibility becomes a habit, results improve naturally, because ownership always leads to progress. The level of results a person produces is closely tied to the level of expectations they hold for themselves. Weak thinking sets low expectations, and low expectations quietly shape behavior. When someone expects little, they prepare little, attempt little, and tolerate little effort from themselves. Over time, this becomes a self-fulfilling pattern. Life does not demand more from a person who does not demand more from themselves. Expectations act like an internal thermostat, regulating how much effort, discipline, and courage a person is willing to apply. The many people underestimate the power of standards. Standards determine what you accept and what you reject. Weak thinking lowers standards in the name of comfort. It says things like, "This is good enough," or "At least I tried." While these phrases sound harmless, they train the mind to settle. Strong thinkers understand that excellence is not an accident. It is the result of raised standards. When expectations rise, behavior must rise to meet them. You cannot expect extraordinary results while maintaining ordinary habits. What expectations influence how you handle challenges. When your expectations are low, obstacles feel overwhelming. Any difficulty becomes an excuse to stop. Weak thinking says, "This is too hard," or "This wasn't meant for me." Strong thinking, fueled by higher expectations, says, "This is part of the process." People who expect success do not quit at the first sign of resistance. They interpret resistance as confirmation that growth is happening. Their expectations give them endurance. But what you expect from yourself also shapes your identity. If you expect discipline, you begin to act like a disciplined person. If you expect consistency, you start to build consistent habits. Weak thinking forms an identity built on avoidance and comfort. Strong thinking forms an identity built on growth and responsibility. Over time, identity becomes behavior, and behavior becomes results. The life you live is often the life you expect to live. Low expectations also affect decision making. Weak thinkers choose what is easy over what is right. They aim for short-term relief rather than long-term growth. Strong thinkers, guided by higher expectations, are willing to do what is uncomfortable today to create a better tomorrow. They understand that self-respect is built by meeting the standards you set for yourself. Every time you meet your own expectations, confidence grows. Every time you lower them, confidence weakens. Rising expectations does not mean ignoring reality. It means refusing to be limited by it. Strong thinkers acknowledge where they are while committing to where they want to be. They stretch themselves deliberately. They expect progress, learning, and improvement, even when results are slow. Weak thinking expects immediate comfort. Strong thinking expects meaningful growth. Ultimately, expectations are silent instructions to the mind. They tell you how hard to work, how long to persist, and what level of life you are willing to accept. When expectations are weak, results follow the same pattern. When expectations are raised, effort intensifies, discipline strengthens, and results expand to match the new standard. Strong results are impossible without strong personal development. Weak thinking assumes that growth will happen automatically, that life experience alone will make a person wiser and more capable. In reality, time does not improve people, intention does. Without deliberate learning, thinking remains shallow, repetitive, and limited. A person may grow older, but their mindset stays the same, producing the same level of results year after year. The personal development is the process of upgrading the way you think. Weak thinking resists this process because it requires effort, humility, and discipline. It avoids reading, reflection, and exposure to new ideas because these activities challenge comfort zones. Strong thinkers understand that if the mind is not fed, it becomes weak. Just as the body deteriorates without exercise, the mind deteriorates without learning. The quality of your thinking can never rise above the quality of the ideas you allow into your mind. Many people hope motivation will save them. They wait for inspiration, emotional energy, or the right mood before investing in themselves. Weak thinking treats learning as optional. Strong thinking treats it as essential. Personal development is not something you do when you have extra time. It is something you schedule because your future depends on it. Those who commit to daily learning gain clarity, confidence, and better judgment, all of which translate into stronger results. What you read, listen to, and study shapes your inner dialogue. Weak thinking is often reinforced by poor mental input, negative conversations, meaningless entertainment, and unchallenging environments. Strong thinkers protect their mental environment. They choose books, mentors, and ideas that stretch their understanding. Over time, their vocabulary improves, their decisions sharpen, and their vision expands. As thinking improves, action naturally follows. A personal development also increases self-awareness. Weak thinkers avoid self-examination because it reveals areas that need improvement. Strong thinkers embrace it. They review their actions, assess their mistakes, and adjust their approach. This reflective habit prevents stagnation. Instead of repeating the same errors, strong thinkers turn experience into wisdom. Weak thinking repeats patterns. Strong thinking refines them. What growth in thinking leads to growth in opportunity. As skills improve and understanding deepens, new options appear. Weak thinking keeps people confined to what they already know. Strong thinking opens doors because it increases value. The marketplace rewards those who think clearly, solve problems, and adapt. Personal development strengthens all three. Ultimately, weak results are not caused by a lack of potential, but by a lack of mental growth. When thinking is strengthened through continuous learning and self-improvement, results have no choice but to improve. A person who commits to personal development commits to stronger thinking, and stronger thinking inevitably produces a stronger life. The discipline is the defining line between weak thinking and strong thinking. Weak thinking depends on feelings, moods, and circumstances. It acts only when motivation is high and retreats when discomfort appears. This approach creates inconsistency, and inconsistency produces weak results. Discipline, on the other hand, trains the mind to act based on decision rather than emotion. When thinking is disciplined, action becomes reliable, and reliable action is what builds success over time. Many people misunderstand discipline. They see it as restriction, punishment, or pressure. Weak thinking resists it because it prefers comfort and immediate pleasure. Strong thinkers understand that discipline is not something that limits life, it is something that expands it. Discipline creates structure, and structure creates freedom. When your thinking is disciplined, you no longer waste energy debating whether to act. You simply do what must be done. Without discipline, even good ideas remain powerless. Weak thinkers may understand what they should do, but they fail to follow through. They start strong and stop early. They rely on inspiration instead of commitment. Discipline closes the gap between intention and execution. It trains the mind to honor decisions, even when motivation fades. This is where strong results are born, not in moments of excitement, but in moments of resistance. The disciplined thinking also strengthens focus. Weak thinking is easily distracted. It jumps from one idea to another, one opportunity to the next, without depth or consistency. Strong thinking chooses a direction and stays with it long enough to see results. Discipline protects priorities. It says no to distractions so it can say yes to progress. Over time, focus compounds effort, turning small daily actions into significant outcomes. Discipline builds self-respect. Every time you do what you said you would do, your confidence grows. Every time you break a promise to yourself, confidence weakens. Weak thinking damages self-trust through repeated inconsistency. Strong thinking restores it through disciplined action. As self-respect increases, standards rise, and with higher standards come better results. A life does not reward potential, it rewards performance. Discipline is what converts potential into performance. Weak thinking waits for conditions to improve. Disciplined thinking improves itself regardless of conditions. This mindset creates momentum. Once discipline becomes habitual, progress feels natural rather than forced. Ultimately, discipline is the muscle of strong thinking. It carries ideas into action and dreams into reality. When discipline governs the mind, results must improve, because disciplined thinking always produces disciplined behavior, and disciplined behavior produces lasting success. The quality of a person's life is shaped by the quality of the questions they ask themselves. Weak thinking asks weak questions, and weak questions lead to weak answers. When faced with difficulty, weak thinking asks, "Why is this happening to me?" or "Why is life so unfair?" These questions do not create solutions, they reinforce helplessness. Strong thinking, however, asks better questions, questions that lead to growth, learning, and progress. The moment a better question is asked, the mind begins searching for a better answer. A question's direct focus. Whatever you consistently ask yourself becomes the center of your attention. Weak thinkers focus on loss, limitation, and blame because their questions keep them there. Strong thinkers shift their focus by asking, "What can I do next?" Or, "What is this situation trying to teach me?" These questions turn obstacles into opportunities for development. The problem does not disappear, but the person grows stronger in the process. Better questions create better decisions. When weak thinkers face failure, they ask questions that justify quitting. When strong thinkers face failure, they ask questions that refine their approach. Instead of saying, "Am I good enough?" strong thinkers ask, "What skill do I need to improve?" This shift removes emotion and replaces it with strategy. The future changes not because the past was different, but because thinking becomes more intentional. The habit of asking strong questions builds resilience. Life will test everyone, but not everyone responds with strength. Weak thinking collapses under pressure because it looks for escape. Strong thinking looks for meaning and direction. Asking the right questions keeps the mind engaged rather than defeated. It transforms stress into focus and uncertainty into curiosity. Over time, this habit creates mental toughness. The questions also shape identity. Weak thinkers ask questions that reinforce limitation. Why am I always like this? Strong thinkers ask questions that reinforce growth. Who do I need to become to handle this? Identity follows inquiry. When your questions aim upward, your actions follow. You begin to act like the person you are trying to become rather than the person you have been. Better questions also improve relationships, careers, and leadership. Instead of asking, "Why don't people support me?" strong thinkers ask, "How can I become more valuable?" Instead of asking, "Why isn't this working?" they ask, "What can I adjust?" These questions encourage responsibility and adaptability, two qualities that always produce stronger results. Ultimately, life does not improve through answers alone. It improves through better questions. Weak thinking keeps asking questions that trap the mind in frustration. Strong thinking asks questions that open doors. When the quality of your questions improves, the quality of your thinking rises. And when thinking rises, results must follow. Your future is not waiting on better circumstances, it's waiting on better thinking. The moment you strengthen your thoughts, your actions rise, your standards improve, and your results follow. Change the way you think today, and life will be forced to respond tomorrow.